Hello, welcome to episode 230 of the Epic Film Challenge 2, 1001 Movies You Must See Before You Die from 1953, Pick Up on South Street. This is a film that is set in New York and follows a deconstruction of a pickpocket, in a way. This is a film starring Richard Widmark as Skip McCoy, who is a pickpocket. He's a thief, just a regular average Joe, who, just steals people's purses. He doesn't get violently involved in crime, he doesn't do anything really sinister, but he will steal things from people. That's his trade, his hands are everything, and that's what he does. And we see him at the beginning of the film on a subway, kind of stealing the wallet from the purse of a woman, played by Jean Peters, and her character's name is Candy. And the scene is a really good setup to the movie, where we see this crowded, bustling kind of cab, this carriage, and he sidles up to her. You can see that he's kind of scoping out, potential kind of once you've seen the film and you know that he's a pickpocket, I could see that he was up to something. And then I realized what it was. He was going to try and, steal her purse. He's got this newspaper he's holding there, and he's kind of, very carefully, very kind of delicately opening her purse, rummaging around in her purse, and then picking out her wallet, and then closing it as the train stops, like really down to a T. But there are cops there watching what's going on. They don't manage to catch him, but he's on their radar, Skip McCoy. He's this guy who's been in jail a few times, and they make kind of a point to say that he's in this kind of 3 strikes and you're out kind of rule, where if he gets caught again, he's done. He's in for life, pretty much. I think that's what they said, or that he'd be in prison for a very long time if he got caught again, and he's like on his last kind of warning, basically. And he just got out of prison like that week as well. So it just seems like, why would he do this? And when we kind of follow him, but also we follow the woman, Candy, who had this very important element in her wallet. Not just this money or, jewelry or anything. It's this microfilm, which is very important and is tied in with the Cold War and communists, and so that is this very much a Cold War spy movie in a way, but without that, really, it's not. I don't know. It's not what makes the film tick. What makes the film tick is that we actually, as the film progresses, we begin to empathize with Skip, and how, yeah, he's a thief, but also he's the sides are blurred, the sides between good and evil and who's right and who's wrong. And at first, we're on Candy's side, and she has this ex-lover who is kind of getting her to deliver this microfilm as a kind of last favor. And we empathize with him. We want him to get this film back, because it's very important. But then we begin to realize that, well, it's not. Is it the right thing for that film to be delivered to who it's going to be delivered to? My favorite character of the film has to be Mo, played by Thelma Ritter. She comes in towards the beginning of the film when they're looking for this pickpocket. And she's kind of a guy. She's a woman who knows all the guys on the street who work, as pickpockets. They're called cannons. And she's just such a witty, kind of snappy kind of character, and the Thelma Ritter delivers the dialogue so beautifully, because it's like it's just really snappy. It's got that kind of like New York slang and twang to it, and it just sounds so believable. And just how she's kind of she's hustling, basically. She's got all this information, but she's kind of trying to work as much money out of it as possible from the police department, And her character has a really big impact on the story as Candy keeps going to her and kind of trying to get information. And I like how the not so much the mystery, but the way the story unfolded throughout the film. It's only about 1 hour and 20 minutes, and it really packs in all the details of the story very concisely, and I just really loved how it unfolded. It is a film noir film in some instances. There's some great kind of shadows and lighting in the film, but there's also scenes set in the day, and has a variety of different looks to it. And the black and white looks gorgeous. The Blu-ray itself has this 4K restoration. Looks incredible to me. I think it's just I love seeing these old films in the quality that we were able to see them now. And as far as this genre is concerned, and just the style of it, just like the guys with the caps, like slightly at an angle, just the fashion, of the cops. And the cops are very one-dimensional, flat characters in the film. But I liked how Skip McCoy, played by Richard Widmark, was a bit different, and by the end you did root for him. And yeah, there's a little bit, there's a lot of the 50s sensibility to the film, especially as far as women are treated. I mean, Jean Peters, she gets proper slapped around, and there's this one scene where I think it's her ex-lover, he, basically just assaults her. And there's no stunt woman, there's no cut. She gets thrown across the room. She's falling over this furniture. He's picking her up and stuff. It's pretty brutal, you know. But it shows that kind of again the unfortunate sensibilities of the time, the way women were treated. But it just draws you in even more. You know, there's this kind of visceral gut thing when you actually see the actress for real. Because you can always tell, especially in those older films, when they cut to a stunt double and it's like this this burly kind of big guy with a wig on. But this is, you know, she was really in there getting, you know, just getting battered. And so it really draws you more into it. Not that I'm saying that we should see that and should see actresses get thrown around. Not at all. But, you know, that was an element to it. An unfortunate element that really just got me more invested in her story as well. And her coming out of it at the end of it in a better place. And she falls in love with Skip. And I will say that how quickly and how deeply she falls in love with him is a little bit too much too quick, but it is a film that is very compartmentalized again, just scene to scene. The plot keeps moving towards the end, and you know, we want the characters to make it out on the right side at the end of it, like I just said. And Mo, again, was probably the most memorable character to me. I'd like to have seen more of her in the film, but she has a nice kind of opening and a nice ending to her character as well. And it's really quite a tragic story when you get more into her character. This woman who knows all this information on all these criminals, and she can sell this to the police, but ultimately she's always just trying to get by with the little that she can. Anyway, Pick Up on South Street, I really, really enjoyed it. Again, as far as film noir goes, again, it's difficult how you define a film as film noir. Does it have to be black and white? Does it have to have moody lighting? You know, does it have to just be a detective story? I don't know, but it definitely falls under that loose banner to me, and certainly is more enjoyable than some of the other ones I've seen. But again, as I've said many times in the past, I'm not a big expert on the genre, even though I love it. I love film noir and the style of it and everything that goes along with that part and parcel, but this one, just, I really liked the story and the main characters. Again, the other side characters are very kind of just flat, but front and center, I really enjoy, and even like the location where Skip lives on this kind of, what you even call it. It's like this thing in the harbour. This kind of small room that he's got like a kind of a box with beers in that he lowers into the sea, and is it the sea or the river? I guess it'd be the river, to keep his beers cold and stuff, and just that kind of makeshift kind of hideout he's got, even though, you know, they kind of know where he lives. But I love that location, and I also really like the way they integrated on location stuff with sets. Like, it really is a nice, like, the production design is really well done. And there's a great special feature on the Blu-ray where the director Samuel Fuller kind of almost does like a commentary over the beginning of the film. Back in the 80s they recorded this in France or something, and it's a really funny, he reminded me of Tony Clifton a little bit, just the way he spoke, but to see his enthusiasm for it. And I had one problem with the film towards the end where Skip basically uses his newspaper trick at the end of the film. So we kind of bookended the movie in two scenes set in the subway. But this time he really needs to steal this thing. There's a guy tailing him, he's got a gun. So he pulls the newspaper up and he kind of sneaks the gun out of the guy's jacket. But the way he's holding the newspaper, it's literally, I've got like a piece of paper somewhere where we'll say this is the newspaper. This is my Napoleon J card. And I'm the cop. And the newspaper's like this. It's like... it's rubbing up against his face pretty much, and he doesn't do anything. And I'm just like, why would, especially the cop, why wouldn't they recognize what's going on? But in the that special feature, Samuel Fuller is talking about how he loves the subway, and he's, you know, spent so many years using the subway, and he says when you get in there, it's so congested, people are just up in each other's faces. He's like, it's so crowded that it just becomes normal. And so that's how, you know, it fits. And to me, I thought, hey, that actually explains it, and it makes it better for me, because when I first watched it I was like, well, that's a bit unbelievable. But I guess back then at that point, you know, it was something that was a regularity to people who use the subway a lot, and I suppose it still is to some people. I know in Japan it's crazy like that, and you just expect to get, they even have carriages for women only if you don't want to get felt up, that's a whole other crazy thing. But yeah, so that was one issue I did have with the film, but then it just kind of dissipated once he said that. And there's a great scrap at the end of the film, great fight in the subway. I really loved it. Yeah, I really love this film. It's not great, you know, it's not like a masterpiece or anything, but is it a film you should see before you die? I think it is. Hour and 20 minutes out of your life is nothing, and I think people would really enjoy it. Again, I'm not going to kind of pose that it's this incredible film, but I really did love it, and I think it's really, really good, and it's worth watching. And from that time period that I've seen so far in the film noir kind of arena, I think it's a really good one. So let me know your thoughts down below if you've seen the film. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.